Yes, hockey is back. The Devils are here. The season is here, 24-25. Let's get into it. We're going to dive into the Devils in Prague, some season predictions, Devil predictions, individual players, the team predictions, and what to expect this coming year. Yes, hockey is back, and it is exciting to be a Devils fan right now. We're starting the season off in Prague against the Buffalo Sabres. What is going on, everybody? Danny McDonough here with Devils Puck Luck Podcast. We are excited to be back. We missed you all. It's been a long time since Adam and I have really dove into talking to all of you out there in Devils world, in hockey world. So we're excited to be back. We have a lot in store for you this season. A lot of great things coming up. We're going to get some guests on. We're going to talk across different team platforms, really jump into individual games. Obviously against rivals is going to be our goal, but let's focus right now on the Devils in Prague. It is awesome that the Devils get this opportunity going back to Palat's homeland. He's very excited, obviously. A great piece by Amanda Stein that she had with Palat himself. And we're going to talk about some predictions. I have Palat scoring today, but let's first talk about the Devils and their season opener today at 1 p.m. coming up in just a half an hour. And then, of course, tomorrow is going to be the back-to-back where they're going to play at 10 a.m. Eastern time. The Devils are very, very, very exciting team. There's a lot of excitement going into this year, and there's a lot of build-up for what the Devils should be. A lot like there was last year. Obviously, a very disappointing last year. But now that the Devils have the pieces that they want from the offseason pickups, Fitz did a great job, in my opinion. I know a lot of Devils fans out there were wondering, well, when are we going to get that top six forward to really be a great part of that second line? But we're going to talk about potentially the resurgence of that tuna, the Tomas Tatar line with Nico Hischier and Dawson Mercer, and see if they can create some magic that they did in the 22 and 23 season. The big situation, goaltending, right, from last year that we struggled with. Markstrom's going into this year. Obviously, we have high expectations for what he can do, especially since he was one of the goaltenders out there in high danger situations. He had a phenomenal save percentage. And listen, he's top 10 goaltender in the league. I don't think anybody can say that he isn't. And I think the excitement behind what his potential is for this year is going to continue to grow as the season goes on. There's a lot of question marks, obviously, with our defense going into today. We're going to start some of the young kids. Seamus Casey had a phenomenal preseason, and we always talk about it. First one up when injuries happen. Brett Pesce, obviously, still nursing that surgery. Coming back off of that surgery, from last year. He's still getting into game day form. And I agree that Sheldon Keefe made the right decision, really not to force him and push him back onto the ice. He is skating. He stayed back in Jersey, obviously, to get more work. And I think we're going to see him in weeks, not months. So I think Devils fans need to take a deep breath. It was one of, obviously, our big acquisitions, in free agency that Fitz made happen. And you see Seamus Casey, he's stepping up. He's a young kid. I don't think anybody expected him to jump right in the lineup. This is an incredible opportunity for him to really make some noise, and to stay in the NHL system, to stay in the Devils system right now and not go back to Utica. And there's potential for that. Obviously, with Shimon Nemeth, we know what he did last year. He stepped up in a big way, and he's going to be paired with them, to start it off in Prague for game number 1. There's so much excitement, behind what the Devils can do. And I think the scary thing is we have more injuries to start the year. Luke Hughes, especially, too. He's going to be back in November. We're hoping before Thanksgiving, nursing a shoulder injury that he looks like he sustained during a workout session. He just tweaked something in his shoulder. We don't know the extent of the injury. I don't think we're going to know the extent of the injury. You hope that this is not something that is going to linger for him. But again, this is where people have to step up. This is where players have to step up. Kovacevic, another pickup with the depth that we got defensively. I think we can stem the tide. I also think that Devils fans need to take a deep breath. If the Devils, the first 5-6 games start, 3-3, that is not the end of the world, right? This is a long, grueling season. And with the injuries that we have, we just need to see the progression of this team, see what we can do moving forward, especially filling in those blanks with the injuries, the 3 very big injuries on defense, and Hataka, who was another player that got injured. stayed back in Jersey. I think we'll see him pretty quickly when we go back to Jersey on October 10th against the Toronto Maple Leafs for the home opener, which is going to be absolutely exciting. We'll talk about offense real quick in Prague. I think we're going to see the big dogs on line one. I think Amanda Stein's going to post something very soon on Twitter, so I'm sure all Devils fans are keeping an eye out on that. And on MSG, they're going to be talking about the lineups. But I think you're going to see the big dogs. You're going to see Jack Hughes, Timo Meier, and Jesper Bratt on that top line. Again, we talked about the resurgence of what we hope will be a phenomenal second line that we saw in 22-23, right? When Tuna was here, he played with Nico Hischier centering that line along with Dawson Mercer, who did finally get his bridge deal contract. I think we're all very happy about that. And I think Dawson Mercer is my really dark horse to have 30-plus goals this year. I think he's going to step up in a big way. So that second line, I'm really excited to see what Tomáš Tatar can do. Remember, he had 20 goals with the Devils in 22-23. We need that from him this year. That's going to be a very, very big factor for our offensive capabilities is Tuna really producing the way he did and playing the way he did. He's a hard-nosed, strong board player that is really going to fit in well again with this Devils team, which changed the complexity of what we're going to do, being that tough team to play against, being that team that's going to battle you until the end, especially against the boards. A lot of our big issues and a lot of what people saw around the league is we were soft. Last year we were just soft. Obviously, the goaltending and the defensive issues, but we weren't a scary team to play against. And I think now this year there's a big difference on the complexion of what we are as a team, as a unit, not just in the NHL level. I think in Utica, you see it too. And then you have your third line and your fourth line. Third line is going to be Erik Haula. He was battling what seemed like maybe it was COVID, maybe it was some, lingering sickness where he had a fever for 6 days. So we're glad to see him that he's better and in game day form. And he's going to be playing obviously on the third line, centering that line with Palat and with Nason, who comes back again in free agency, which I really do like that pickup as well. Very hard-nosed player, tough to play against. And our fourth line, I think what will turn into a fan favorite, Paul Cotter, and I think that he has potential to move up as the season goes on. But I really like that fourth line. And to me, I'm keeping an eye on Bastian because I think that he is going to have a lot of pressure on him early in this season to perform. LeBanc has been absolutely phenomenal in the preseason. We're going to jump a little more into the preseason in just a second, but LeBanc is one with 6 goals in 3 games, I believe it is. It's absolutely incredible to see. I think it's one of the best PTOs I've seen from any NHL team in past years. So he needs a contract, right? He needs to be on the Devils, in my opinion. I think he's someone you can rotate into the lineup and you can fit him in, on the second, third, or fourth line when needed. Obviously, if injuries happen, he's going to be someone to step up to, but we'll see what Fitz does with that, and we'll see if he is on the NHL squad in just a little bit. But the fourth line, obviously, you have McDermott that could come in there against the rivals like the Rangers. If Rempe draws into the lineup against the Flyers, teams like that. Against tougher teams, you're going to see McDermott. But obviously, you have Curtis Lazar centering that line along with Bastian and Cotter on the fourth line today. So a lot of great things happening for the Devils. On paper, we look like a team that can be a top 8 NHL team that will compete for a cup. But again, we thought that last year. So it's you don't want to get too ahead of yourself. The excitement of game number 1 for the Devils is always going to be fun. And the fact that we're in Prague, this is listen, I'm very jealous if you're in Prague right now. We're going to live vicariously through you. So we're obviously wishing we were there with you, but enjoy that experience. It's a phenomenal experience to be able to be there. It's just phenomenal. I'm jealous. I know a lot of people out there right now. I know a lot of Devils fans that are out there right now, and enjoy it. Really soak it in. And I think today I'm going to give some predictions for today and tomorrow. Adam and I are going to jump on just so you guys know. After the game tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern time, the second game that'll be in Prague against the Sabres, the Lindy Ruff Sabres, who, again, this is a team that is going to be hungry. They've missed the playoffs for over a decade. So they're going to be hungry. Remember the Tage Thompsons, the Tucks of the world. Those kids can skate. Thompson's a big kid, 6'6", with a lot of weight behind him that not only can score goals, but he is tough to play against. Extremely, extremely good puck handler. So the Devils have to be very awake on the defensive side of the puck. And I'm going to give some bold predictions right now. I think that Dylan is going to be top 3 in the league in hits. I think that he is going to make one of the biggest impacts for the New Jersey Devils on the defensive side of the puck. I think Dougie Hamilton will take a little bit of time to get back into game shape, 100% Dougie Hamilton that we know. You're going to obviously see flashes of what he can do. He's just a phenomenal player. But I'm really curious to see how that line balances out, that pairing balances out, with Dougie Hamilton and Brendan Dillon. I think that's a very, very good line with a lot of grit with Dillon and a lot of scoring power, on the blue line with Dougie Hamilton. So I'm very excited to see that. With Luke Hughes and Pesci being out, which you assume in a month and a half, 2 months will be your second pairing, we have to fill in those holes, like we said. So we got Simone Nemec and obviously Casey being on as a pairing. And that's the one that we really want to keep an eye on closely today. I think that one is going to be very important just because you don't want to see any kind of defensive breakdowns, hard defensive breakdowns that really are going to lead to big scoring chances from Buffalo. So, I'm confident that they can really focus on what they do well. I think that Casey, he did have a great preseason, but I think that he was holding back a little bit to make sure that the defensive side of the puck was responsible, which is good, which is what you want to see. And then obviously Kovacevic with Siegenthaler. Siegenthaler in a big way needs to have a bounce back year. He struggled mightily last year. A lot of Devils fans out there just did not want him part of this team. I'm hoping for a turnaround. I think it could happen. I don't think it could get much worse than last year. He had flashes of good play over a couple games, but overall, I think he would be the first to tell you that he needs to play a hell of a lot better this 24-25 season. So the bold prediction number one was obviously Brendan Dillon being in the top 3 in hits. I'm going to tell you what I think in regards to predictions for the standings. I think the Devils are going to finish second. I think the Rangers are still going to be number 1 in the Metro and win it with 104, 105 points. I'm going to go ahead and say the Devils are going to have 98 points and finish second. Right behind them, right on their tail, the Carolina Hurricanes with 97. So I'm going Rangers, Devils, Hurricanes, top 3 in the Metro, Devils, Carolina, first round playoff matchup. I know we're jumping ahead of ourselves quickly here, but, in anticipation of what we want to do and what we want to see this year, I think the Devils are going to be around that 100-point mark. And I also think Sheldon Keefe is going to be a candidate for Jack Adams this year. I think that he has the opportunity and the potential to really turn this team in the right direction, and not just this year with a lot of the young kids for a lot of years to come. And I think that Jack Hughes, it's all about health, right? If he plays 74 plus games, I think that he will be in the conversation for the Hart. I really do think that Jack Hughes is a top 8 player in the NHL. A lot of lists, the top 50 list, top 100 list that I've seen, he's 15, 16, 17. I know a lot of that is because of injury. But with a healthy Jack Hughes, this kid is going to do some magical things. I really think that he will work more on his defensive game. I think that he'll be smarter with the puck when he has to be. I know in years past that there's been some reckless play from Jack Hughes, and a lot had to do with the system, I think. And really learning the system for the Devils organization, not just Jack Hughes with Sheldon Keefe. There's going to be some ups and downs, right? There's going to be some growing pains. And I think it's important that we all know, just breathe, let these situations happen. There's 82 games in a year. We're not going to win every game. I know everybody wants to win every game, but it's like last year, preseason, we went 7-0, I believe it was. And this year we went 1-6. So listen, we almost lost every game in the preseason. Maybe that's a sign that we're going to win, we're going to have 100 points this year. You never know. So it's always fun and it's always exciting to see a new system. And I think Sheldon Keefe is going to bring a lot of energy and a lot of differences than what we saw, obviously, in the Lindy Ruff, Travis Green era. So I'm really excited to see what the Devils can do on the ice. They look great on paper, but nothing matters until you're on that ice. Let's talk a little about the preseason, what we saw, and some concerns. For me, it was Jake Allen was my biggest concern. Giving up 3 goals on 5 shots against the Islanders in that first period made me a little nervous. Listen, again, I know it's preseason. I know this is not the Devils roster on the ice. However, some of those goals were just crazy bad. I'm not worried. I was just a little concerned, I think. But again, he's our backup goalie, right? He's our number 2. Markstrom didn't have the best preseason as well. But again, I think that's just some kinks getting worked out, getting into game-ready shape. And I'm not as concerned either. I know that the save percentage among the goalies was not good, but we need to put it past us. Those games don't count. I think the NHL is going to work with the NHLPA to reduce the number of preseason games as well. It's terrible to see all the injuries that happen across the league, too, especially Doughty, Patrick Laine getting hurt. Excuse me, Patrick Laine getting hurt, which is terrible to see. Brady Tkachuk got hurt. So I think the NHL is going to really work on lowering the amount of preseason games as time goes on. But Again, it's preseason for a reason. It doesn't count. It's really to just gel with your teammates, gel with the lines, figure out who is going to be your pairing defensively. For goalies, really working out the kinks as well. So we need to put it past us and really focus on the Devils in Prague today, which I think is going to be a final score of 4-2 Devils. My prediction for today. I think Markstrom is going to have a great game. I think that the kids, Casey and Nemec, are really going to surprise a lot of people. You're going to see a couple breakdowns, but I accept Markstrom to make some phenomenal saves tonight. And let's get Jack Hughes, Andre Palat, Paul Cotter on the board as well, and Timo Meier for the goals. Let's have some fun, man. It's Devils hockey. We're back. Adam and I are really excited. We're going to have a lot of different types of episodes for you. We're going to have some players of the game, some unsung heroes of the games, some different things that, listen, Adam's great with the production side of it. He has some crazy things in the works that he's doing. Excited to really jump in with all you guys. We're going to do a lot more lives. You're going to see me probably a lot more on the post-game lives, but you're going to see Adam and I with episodes weekly. We're excited to jump into it. Let's enjoy the game today. Devils hockey is back. Excited to rock and roll. Let's go, Devils.